And we are live. You can catch us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll be right back with you, Hellers. We'll be right back. How's over Baz? I'm Jacob Casas.
I'm Rico Savage.
And we have a very special guest today. Before, I want to thank everybody because we are fully monetized on YouTube. We got our community going. People are already signing up. I want to thank everybody for liking, subscribing, and watching our stuff. And we are about 360,000 views right now. We just kind of hit that today. So I want to thank everybody for watching. But we have a very special guest today, and it's Aria Walton, and we are calling this episode Zombie Town. So why don't you introduce yourself to the people and tell them a little bit about what you do?
And what camera? That camera. Yes. So my name is Aria Walton. I'm a model, a business owner, and an actor. Most recently, I guess I got discovered by being in the running for Miss Universe Canada. And then I slowly, I did modeling for quite a few years. I'm on the cover of multiple fashion magazines. I've worked with many, many brands. I've been on billboards in Times Square. And then I transitioned into acting about a year and a half ago. I landed my first speaking role called Zombie Town, just like this episode. And it was really exciting for me because it was with two veteran actors, Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd. I'm sure you guys have heard of them. Great people. Other than being amazing actors, they're really, really good people. And then from that small speaking role, I was able to become a member of the acting union, and then that landed me other roles. So this year I'm supposed to film my first lead for a movie called They Have Arrived. It's a sci-fi film, so I'm really, really excited about that. I'm nervous about it too, because when you're a lead, you really carry the whole film, so you actually have to be on set for like 10 to 12 hours every day. Whereas when you're more of a secondary, you don't have to be on set that long. But yeah, I'm excited. We're filming in 3 different countries, Norway, Iceland, and Poland. So
all cold? All cold?
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to be there in the winter time.
Okay.
So it should be good. It's with the British director, Craig Reese, who's also an actor. But it's just, go ahead.
I'm just going to say, so where are you from?
I'm from Canada, but I also have citizenship of Spain because my dad is from Spain. So I grew up between Canada and Spain. From the ages of 8 to 18, I grew up in Spain. My dad retired when I was 8 years old, so he moved the family over there. And then I moved back on my own. As soon as I turned 18, I graduated high school and I moved back to Canada to pursue my journalism degree.
So is that where you live right now?
I live in Toronto, yeah.
So why don't you give us a little rundown of how you even got into acting? Because you really got to put yourself on the line, like in the forefront. Like you're the brand, you're everything.
Yeah.
So give us a little rundown of how old were you when you started doing that?
Well, when I started modeling, I was in my early 20s, which I guess is old for modeling, but these days things have changed. I think people look way younger than what they are.
Social media and all that.
Yeah, so I don't think age matters as much anymore. But then acting, it was only that I got serious about it probably 2 years ago because I was already stepping away from modeling. Yeah. So you want to know my age right now? I'm 36 right now, so I got really involved in that maybe at 34.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but when you first started, did somebody push you towards the acting thing, or you kind of that's what you wanted to do?
That's what I wanted to do. What my family pushed me towards was to just go to school.
Because I seen it in one of your interviews. It said that.
Oh yeah, he has a good one. I want people to hear this.
You said that you didn't want to disappoint your parents. So
Yeah,
you went and got your
yeah.
degree in your bachelor's in journalism.
Yeah,
so
that's
from that, so
correct.
like it's so it was more like of a you did it to make them happy, and because everybody wants to make their parents proud. But how did they feel when you didn't do the part that you went to school for?
Well, I kind of did because I have a PR company called
Okay.
KW Publicist, so
Okay.
I write all the time.
Oh, that's your
Okay.
company.
That's my
Okay.
company, yeah. So that's kind of my day job, I guess. Because,
So you are a full entrepreneur.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into a lot of that then.
Yeah. So I guess like my family, they're just like a very traditional Christian family. So when I started to pursue more artistic things, they were just a little bit worried because there's like all these horror stories, you know, in that industry. So they just wanted to make sure, you know, that I stayed on track and, you know, I didn't get swayed into things that they didn't want me to get into.
So let's get into that a little bit. So with that, how, I mean, we know the industry is so different, that industry, right? So how was that? Have you been able to stay on track with the way your values and the way you think, like how you were brought up? Have you been able to stay like that?
I
with
like to
this?
believe so. I mean, I have been exposed to a lot of different things, but I've tried my best to make the right decisions. And I would say I've made them proud, you know.
Do you believe that your core values with your family has kept you grounded with what you do?
For sure. And I see my family all the time. Most of my well, I have family like spread out around the world because we've been traveling forever. But most of my family's in Spain, and I see my family, like I go to Spain at least twice a year. So that keeps me really grounded. They live in like a smaller city in Spain called Murcia. It's in the southeast. And it's a different world. It's not like Toronto. It's not like LA or New York. I haven't been to LA in a long time, but I'm in New York all the time. So it's a completely different world where people don't care about certain things. No one cares about brands. No one cares about, you know, they're just not exposed to that. So I'm like, when I go visit them, it's like, okay, this is who I actually am.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've learned to navigate the other worlds, but I don't get too lost into it.
So putting yourself on the line, being an entrepreneur, acting and all that, I mean, the mindset you got to have, because you a lot of people really like, they have to in that field have to put themselves out there. So how is your mindset to like be able to really put yourself out there? And I mean, it's hard because we're business owners, so we know the whole thing of getting judged and people not wanting us to go a certain route. They think you're going to fail, or they don't want to see you like fall, or just haters, just period,
I
right?
want
Yeah.
them to do it their way.
So you're an entrepreneur, you own a business, plus you're an actress. You put yourself on the line. So how is your mindset with that? Like what is your thought process when you go in to something like that, having to put your whole self out there because you're the brand?
Well, I'm more than how I deal with it is I know that I'm more than just my looks, 100%. So I try not to rely so heavily only on my looks. I could put myself out there way more. Other people put themselves out there 10 times more than I do. But I'm just like, eventually, you know, looks fade. So what's going to be left is your intellect and how you're able to further your brand without it being about your looks. And I know that modeling and acting and all this stuff, like it does have a lot to do with that. So I guess I try to have thick skin and not care so much what people think because I know who I am and my family knows who I am. And I have a really, really tiny circle. Like I don't hang out with a lot of people, honestly. Because I feel like when you put yourself out there, and like even in your personal life, and you spread yourself too thin, then that's when you get swayed and
Yeah, for sure.
and confused. Yeah.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
Like that's a great answer because
Thank you.
a lot of people don't even think that way. It's really hard for somebody to think the way you're thinking on that route because they don't realize that everything fades and that this is what keeps you rolling. You know what I mean? We talk about that a lot on this podcast.
Well, I have big brothers, so they humble me all the time. They're like, "Oh, who do you think you are?" Like they tell me all the time, and they point out like on purpose so that I don't have a big head, you know. So
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I like that you have the family values. So what is the next step for you? Where everybody has goals, they have like the end goal, right? But that's always so far down. What's your next goal? Like what's your next thing that you want to do?
I think I'll be able to answer that more accurately after I do my first lead role in a movie, and then depending on how that goes, if it lands me more leads, then I think I can really build a brand and I can start like actually having a clothing line and, beauty products and stuff like that. So I'm more into the entrepreneur route. Obviously, I'm very passionate about storytelling. Like I took journalism and acting is all about storytelling. And, you have to, even though it is a business, you have to have a passion for that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't care about like the actual part of storytelling and immersing yourself into a character, then you're not going to do well with it, because you can't kind of like tank that and then be like, I'm just worried about like having an audience and selling my products. Like it can't just be about that. But, I am looking forward to something like that and then not continue like putting myself in the limelight and then just having a family, but then having like, the products and sales and stuff like that going like on the side.
That's so practical too.
I am very practical and I'm very realistic. So, yeah.
So what's going to be like the main focus for your? I seen you that you want to start the YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. So what's going to be the main focus for that?
Well, the YouTube channel is because so many people, they're always like, I don't know. I have some girlfriends and they always ask for my advice on so many different topics. Yeah. And they're like, you need to like tell the world about all your knowledge and, and I'm just like, well, we'll see. So I think the YouTube channel would be something similar to you guys where you talk about an assortment of topics. Like it wouldn't just be like one thing. Yeah. And then I think it would be fun to go over like, how people have book clubs? We'll have like segments where it's about talking about a film and dissecting a film and dissecting like how an actor did in that film and, stuff like that.
I like that. That sounds cool.
Is that something that you wanted to do always when you were a kid? Was it always like actress or a model or like what was?
I didn't want to be a model as a kid. I wanted to be more of an actress. And like I like to sing. I'm not going to sing, so don't ask me. But I like to sing. I don't really do that anymore. But
maybe if you get a little more comfortable, you'll sing for us.
I've always been like a performer, even as a kid growing up. Like for my family, I'd like dance for them in the living room, and I was always like the life of the party in that way. So I knew I wanted to do acting. It's just, life happens. I got focused on getting my degree, and then I worked within that field. I was a reporter for TLN, Tele Latino in Toronto, so I was covering all these Hispanic events, Hispanic-centered events, because I'm bilingual, like fully bilingual. So I was doing that. I've done corporate communications, and then I started my own business about almost 5 years ago. Yeah.
So I want you to read that article that you're talking about. So like, there's because we're housed over Bass, right? Mm-hmm. And there's an article that's really cool that I don't know if it was your words, but you got to read it. It's really cool.
It was the wolves.
Yeah.
It was an article from Bold Journey.
Okay.
It said hold on, let me find it real quick.
We're only live right now.
Right, we're live, right.
He's dropping the ball again, guys. Here we go.
Again, this is the first. So it says, I've developed my confidence without even realizing it. Just putting my fear to the side and throwing myself to the wolves, and I came out leading the pack without even trying to at first. So now every doubtful thing I go through, I'll go back to in life or whatever, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Are those your words?
Yeah,
I like that.
I was
interviewed. Yeah, I love that.
But yeah, that is the truth. It's basically like, little opportunities present themselves and you do them. Like at first you're really fearful and then you're in the situation and then it's like, oh my God, you did so well. Oh my God. And then other people are like, oh, I want to like be around you. You like give such good advice and all this stuff. So then I guess that developed my confidence that I'm like, oh, I guess I'm all right. Like.
What was that point where you were like, you know what? I'm putting this fear to the side. You know what I mean? It's me against the world.
Well, you have to, because if you are fearful, you're never going to achieve anything in life.
Right.
If you're too concerned with what people say, you're just never going to put yourself out there or do anything. And some of the people that have made it really big and created a legacy in life, they had to put themselves out there. And they failed a million times first.
Right.
Like, we know the stories once they've made
glamour,
it.
Yeah.
Right? But prior to that, there's been like a million failures and they didn't quit. So.
And so are you like the type, because I mean you've done some big things so far, so are you the type like to actually like read about yourself, or I'm pretty sure with everything that we do there's always a bad side to it, so we have the people who who want to talk, you know what I mean, on the post bad or whatever, or criticize you. Do you let that affect you?
I try not to read it. Before I would read it more, but then I'm like, I don't want to get triggered and start replying because you're
Right.
lowering yourself to the haters or the people that create fake accounts just to comment, and like they would never say these things to your face. So I stopped being that way of like
Yeah.
trying to read everything. It's like, again, I know who I am, my family knows who I am, and that's all that matters to
Right.
me.
That's strong-minded.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of people like that. I've the people we've come in encounter with is just not that way. Even entrepreneurs, I mean, sometimes they're like fully like tripping out on things. So how do you stay grounded? What is your? I mean, I know you're a Christian.
The yoga, reading
Well,
the Bible.
I don't consider myself a Christian. I want to
you
make. I
don't?
was raised a Christian, but I
Yeah.
don't practice. Like I don't go to church and stuff
Well,
anymore.
what's your foundation built off of? What is your foundation? Like who? Because everybody has a
grounded?
foundation, and they build off that.
Well, growing up, I grew up Christian. I went to church every Sunday, so that is a foundation, you know.
Because we're Christian.
But the thing is, as I lived through things in life and as I traveled so much the world and I've encountered people of all walks of life, I do believe there's an element of like, I think Christianity, it can be good or it can be bad. I think there's a lot of like fanatics. I think there's a lot of people that just use Christianity as a tool for population control. And so you have to tread lightly with that. Like you have to really have discernment and really understand like who's a real Christian and who actually lives their life that way and who just thinks it's cool to talk about that or to get tattoos about, you know, Bible verses
or
and stuff,
judge
but they
people.
don't live
Yeah.
it and they do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I do have a strong foundation in that because I grew up that way, but I'm very mindful of like a lot of people that say they're Christians are fake. So I don't want to be like, I'm a Christian and I follow everything to the T because that's not true and it's not reality. So
Yeah, no, that's understandable. I mean, because especially if you're live to the world right now, there's like people that are going to see that, and I mean, but yeah, I'm a Christian, so I mean,
Okay.
I put that out there. I'm never gonna, especially being on a podcast, having to talk about it all the time. You never want to just like deny it because that's what I am,
Yeah.
But I'm not.
We're not
following
yeah,
the
every
way
day.
I'm supposed to
We
be
know we're
doing,
So
Like-
we feel the same way about how you feel.
I just feel like when you say you're a Christian, people already have like a certain expectation of
Stigmatism
you.
about it, yeah.
And that means that you go to church every Sunday. That means that, and I don't go to church every Sunday and stuff. So that's
Same,
why
I don't
I'm,
either.
But people want to judge anyway, so we always
Yeah.
like say, "Who cares?"
That's the
what
thing
they
that's
think?
what
Screw them.
that's what
Who
makes
cares
them
what they
mad
think?
because
You know
they
what I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
like what are they doing with their lives most of
Yeah.
the time? The people that are judging usually ain't doing anything. So we call them out on this all the time on this podcast because we do not care. The trolls, all those people, like they're hiding behind computers and all that kind of stuff. Nobody cares what they have to say. Like
Yeah.
we don't. We just
Yeah.
laugh at that kind of stuff, because we even get people in the chat saying stuff, and we got people following our Instagram, our YouTube, right
Yeah.
in, but we just have fun with it. I know it's a little hard because I feel like girls that they take things more, to like.
Well, just because we're bombarded by the media since a very young age, like you have these like really harsh expectations on yourself as a girl, and like your value is placed on your looks, and your value is placed on if you're married or not. Your value, like these are things that like they tell women, so then women have to be so careful, and and it's really annoying.
yeah.
Yeah.
So with the modeling, and you said that you've been on a couple magazines as far as like Harper's Bazaar and
Fluffy Ciel a
Fluffy
few
Ciel,
times,
Glamour,
Glamour
yeah.
magazine, and then a few like smaller ones. So.
So and these are out the country.
There's some
coverage?
that I've done within the U.S., like Eclair magazine was for the U.S., but Harper's is out of the country, Glamour is out of the country. It's all over the place. Yeah.
Does that help with your acting, like as far as like being around that many people and like being shy? Because like you said, you were nervous. So I'm like, how are you nervous? And you're around like A-list actors and stuff like that. Like this still.
Because that
Never
that
goes
doesn't
away?
go away.
Okay.
It never goes away for you.
No. I mean, at first, because I'm shy at first, and
Yeah,
then
what you
once
mean,
like
so-
I feel comfortable, then I really open up, and then I'm funny and
So it's like a
goofy.
fighter when they first walk in the ring.
Until you get punched.
It's like you're reading the room and you're like, okay, let's see what's this all about, So
Mm-hmm.
at first I'm shy, and then when I open up, then I'm like, I'm funny.
That's good though. That's cool. So as soon as you're in there, you're just like you go along. You're good. So What's an actor that you've met that that kind of wowed you on his acting skills?
Dan Aykroyd really wowed me. Like, in terms of
Ghostbusters
friendliness,
over there.
Chevy Chase is, like, really friendly, and he's a family man, and his whole family was on set, and, like, he's just, like, amazing, you know? But Dan's acting skills, it's like he was even helping the director. Like, he's just
He's been
so
doing so long.
spontaneous. Like, he knows everything, and he doesn't have, you don't have to do a million takes with him. Like, he just gets it from the
just
beginning.
flows.
Like, it just flows, and you're just, like, sitting there like, oh my gosh, like, you're so good, you know?
Yeah.
So it can be a little bit intimidating. But it's been a whole career. Like, it's been so many years. So eventually, I think you get there. Well, if you're good. But I don't think he started off, like, right off
Yeah,
the bat
for sure.
being that comfortable, you know? So
Are you allowed to talk a little bit about your lead role coming up?
just a little bit. Like, it's a sci-fi film. It's about, like, aliens, alien invasion.
Sci-fi. We like that stuff over here.
Yeah, so it's about, like, a married couple that's, like, stranded in some remote location. I can't say too much, though, because
Okay.
I can't
I'm
ruin
getting in
it.
trouble, Jacob. Jesus.
We're
But
trying to get as much as we can over here on House Over Bass. So.
So what if you had like what would be your perfect role? Like if somebody said, "Hey, you know what? Tell me your idea for
Yeah.
a movie. You'd be the lead star. What kind of movie would it be?"
there's two different things that I absolutely adore. So I love comedy. So
Okay.
anything comedy I would love to do. And then the flip side, I love, like, really dark movies. Like where
Like horror movies and stuff
No,
like that?
not horror, more like psychological.
So like at the
movies.
beginning of the movie, you would think it's one way, but next thing you know, like the person is like it's the
Yeah.
killer and he has something in his head. Like, I think.
Or like a role where it's based on a true story and then you're able to really research the person and like see all the interviews online that this person did and then really get into character. Like I find that really interesting.
Who would that be? Like somebody that you like watch our documentary that you watch that you want to play?
Well, actually there was this film. Well, I don't know who I would play like myself right now. But there's a film that kind of that brings like it comes to mind. Have you guys seen the movie Monster?
Yeah.
With Charlize Theron, and it's based on a true story, and like they even did prosthetics on her, and they like
She looked
uglified
completely
her.
different.
Yeah, so that to me is really interesting because it's like it's all about her acting skills. She doesn't have the crutch of like any looks or anything, and she won an Oscar for that movie, and it was just like so well deserved, and she really studied the character. So the character was like a female serial killer, and I've even watched like some of the interviews of the real life person, and she nailed it. Like it was like, oh my gosh, like all the facial expressions, everything. It was
Yeah, I seen that.
incredible.
It's basically like she looked like a tweaker from Fontana. You know what I'm saying? And she does not look like that in real life. So yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, because then she'll do a Dior commercial and look like a complete goddess, and you know, like. But I think that you can be. I don't know. She just demonstrates how talented she is by being able to do that.
Have you ever been stuck in character? Like after like when they say cut and the next thing you find yourself still talking the same way?
No.
Or no?
No.
Okay.
But I haven't done like this is going to be my first lead, so
Were you
that
in
wouldn't
in-depth
really
into- yeah, okay.
apply to me. We'll see what happens.
So what do you do to get in character? Like, do you really got to go all out and try to get in character?
I research others a lot. Like I research what other people do. I also research how other people like memorize things. I don't know. I read a lot. I watch a lot of interviews, and then I kind of take little bits and pieces that kind of resonate with me, and I just apply that.
Do you consider, because the way you're talking, I look at you a certain way right now, like 'cause
Like what?
I don't know, like I feel like you're a strong person.
I am.
Like you don't really let people like sway your mind. You
Yeah.
have a set mind. And
Well, I'm a Taurus, so definitely I'm
Hey,
very stubborn.
we saw that. We saw your little Taurus thing. We're
We seen it
Tauruses
earlier.
too.
Really?
Mine was April 25th.
I
His
love
was
that.
28th.
Tauruses
This is
are the
Taurus
best.
season over here, man. Yeah, both of
I
our
have the
birthdays just
bull, I have the
passed.
bull tattooed on me too. So I'm
Oh, really?
Yeah, we love that. So you're pretty much what the way you think is. Not a lot of people can sway your mind.
No
No.
bullshit. No
That's
bullshit.
good.
No. And I call out the bullshit too. And then people that are used to bullshitting, they call you crazy. And it's like, well,
No, I just figured you out.
yeah.
what I mean? That's all it
And I
is.
told you what it is, and that's that. And I
I
stand on that.
love that because I mean, especially in your industry, there's so much bullshitters. We've dealt with
In
a lot of
LA,
people-
especially.
Oh my
I don't
God.
come to
man.
LA. Honestly,
We
I
were just
hadn't
going to talk
been
about
here.
that.
The city
Like-
of I mean, it's all lights and glamour, but it's fake too.
I
had
don't
a lot of
like
it is fake.
LA and Miami. They're huge on just BS,
Yeah.
complete BS.
We had people in here that, I mean, they look like they're just like living the life, doing huge, and it's a complete lie.
Yeah,
The
behind
whole
the
thing.
scenes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, and they're living in their car or something,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So when we see that, I'm like, dude, why front though? We're just not that way over here. We tell
I
the-
think it has to do with self-esteem. It just comes down to that.
I just think though that if you're going to portray something that you're not, it's like, really, what is that doing to you?
'Cause it's-
You know what I mean?
you're
No,
not
it's
doing
just a
yourself.
quick. It's an
Yeah.
ego boost, and it's a quick like dopamine shot.
Yeah.
That's a fake dopamine shot,
It
but
is.
it's still nonetheless it's a dopamine
fake
shot.
it until you make it, and people like really like take it far as fuck. You know what I mean? You have to fake it till you make it, like because you only can go.
But
so
a lot
far.
of them don't make it.
Right, you only can go so far with you only can
Yeah.
go so far with it until you either get called out on it, or you know you have no choice but to be real. And then when you're real, then it's not the same thing that you portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like how we say, it's easier to be real at the end of the day than being fake. It's way more harder. You know what I mean? Because you're actually keeping up another personality, literally.
Yeah, it's like an acting job, but
Yeah.
you're not getting paid.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it must be hard to be genuine in that industry.
Yes and no, because honestly, although what you're saying is true about certain cities that like people are really fake, but a lot of actors, they move away from here. And like ever since the pandemic, a lot of actors realize that you can do a lot of Zoom auditions. Sometimes you still have to come in person. Like I had to come in person for one, but so a lot of people have chosen to not live in LA. Like all the really like genuine actors that just love to be actors, it's not so much about like the celebrity aspect of it, and they don't really want to share their life. Like they're not influencers too, because if you're an influencer and you want to, you know, get paid to post and stuff, you kind of do have to share a little bit of your life to like keep the audience interested. But to me, it's hard to do that because I like to have a private life too. Like I don't talk about relationships ever. And I told you guys that. I'm like, I'm not going to talk about certain things, like, you know, because I want to keep things private for me. And I think the only way to meet the right person is when you do it old school, organically, in person, and they have to like peel
Figure it
you like
out.
an onion, you know, like one layer after the next. You have to actually talk to me and you have to get to know me. And that's why I'm like, I limit what I do post on.
Has it
social
been
media.
hard for you? I'm not going to get in deep into
Yeah.
that. But has it been hard for you to even date or find somebody that you can talk to like that in the industry?
Well, I wouldn't date within the industry. Like, that's not my type of person. Like, I'm not really interested in entertainers for like a romantic relationship. I guess I'm more into like business people. My dad was a business owner, so I like men that are like really masculine, you know, and they're not so much, because I feel like entertainers, they're a little bit in their feminine energy, and they, you
No
know,
diddy? No diddy?
they're about their
Sassy.
physique and
You-
stuff, and
you
I'm just like,
sassy-
that's
sassy-
for
sassy
women
men.
to be like that. Like, so for me, I wouldn't really be with someone that's in the entertainment industry, so I wouldn't meet them that way.
What did your dad do?
So he had a construction company, and it was really
So
big
he's a
in
man,
Canada.
huh?
Oh yeah, complete.
cool.
And then also like, even though physically he was strong, he's really old now. Like he's 26 years older than my mom. So like, he's
Oh, okay.
old.
He's doing the thing. Shout out to him.
But he's just very intellectual too. So I look up to him for all his good qualities. I'm not saying he's perfect, but
That's good though. I mean, I feel like I have a daughter, so I feel like they should look up to their dads. If they're not, something's wrong. You know what I
they're
mean?
not doing their job.
No, for sure. not. So, do you consider yourself a leader?
People call me that, but I think that's a really big title.
I feel like you speak like a leader.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I feel like you come across as a strong leader in what you do. And what I wanted to ask you, because these are questions everybody we bring on, right? Hows over Baz, leaders over followers. So if they lead in their career, are they pushing to try to strive in what they do? Because you have another business anyways. So regardless, you're a leader, like it or not. You're
Yeah.
a leader. What kind of what is a leader to you?
I think a leader to me is someone that's not in his or her ego. I think a true leader takes on certain responsibilities, because people like the title leader and they like being looked up to, but they don't realize that so much responsibility comes with leadership. And so being a true leader is actually teaching other people how to grow. It's not about hoarding titles and stuff. It's about, I want everybody that follows me to do really well as well, So I think that's what leadership is. But it's like a big responsibility because then we're all human, and if you make a mistake, it's like you're not allowed to make mistakes. So that's why when people are like, you're a leader and all this stuff, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be called a leader because I'm not perfect.
So people already call you that.
A lot of people.
Then it is
Yeah.
what it is. It kind of like we talk about this in our show a lot, actually. And it's actually better to be the number two because leadership is there's a lot on your
difficult,
shoulders.
yeah.
We had a guest come in here and she was talking about that, and
What do you know, too?
I was like, damn, that is so right because everything actually falls on your shoulders at the
Yeah.
end of the day. When you're the person up front, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of these leaders are the people that want to be leaders. They don't realize how hard it really is.
It is hard. It really is hard.
You gotta maintain it, and people only show like the glitz and glamours of being a leader. Oh, you have money, but it takes anything that's worth it. It's not hard. I mean, it's not easy. So, but people.
But I think true leaders don't even focus on money. It's just they like what they do, and because they're so passionate about what they do, the money follows.
Yeah.
I think that when you're only focused on money, you half-ass other things that are the things that you should be passionate about and you should be particular about in order to like get to the next level.
Yeah, that's real. Like that's
Holler.
that's a burn. That one was good.
Wolves.
Yeah. Because I don't think people realize that too, especially with all these coaches and all this stuff that you see all over social media. I trip out on a lot of that stuff, and that's kind of why we started this podcast too. Because I felt like a lot of these people were just fake, talking about nonsense, and I wanted to bring an entrepreneur. I had no idea podcasts make money like that. I thought it was. I did it for networking. Now, to me, this is the biggest sales there is for business, is podcasts. But I didn't know what it could actually be. Now that I know, I'm pushing forward in that. But I think that you got to really care about what you're doing. Because if you don't, and then you're just like trying to be a coach or an influencer, you're not going to make money, and you're not going to actually, nobody's going to care what you have to say, really. Because it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you actually have to be passionate about what you're talking about and actually believe it, I think. And also, I also think that in order to... I follow a few podcasts, and there's... Well, I don't know if I should mention other podcasts, but
No, you're
there's
good. Go
this
ahead.
one that
Say
I like.
whatever
It's
you
called Diary of a CEO, and like they talk about an assortment of topics, and they talk about people's like stories or if they've been through something. And also they talk to entrepreneurs and stuff. And so I feel like when you're talking about real things, it might take you a little bit longer to grow an audience, but it's like a good audience. And then there's the other ones, the flip side of that they just say outrageous things that they might not even believe, but they're like, this is going to be
views.
like, exactly. And it's going to be so crazy. And we're going to get so many subscribers. I don't have respect for that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I think take your time, build a real audience, talk to people about things that you actually are interested in. And it might take a little bit longer because you're not saying outrageous things, you're not disrespecting people. The other way, sure, it gets like all these people hooked because like you're
not
not
even wrong
used to,
people, though.
yeah, you're not used to on your everyday, like hearing such things, right? But
You're a critical thinker for
Yeah.
sure, because a lot of people don't think that way.
'cause we're
Especially
all
people that
critical.
we had on this podcast. Sometimes it's like it's not that way, and that's that's so different than I feel like a lot of people these days think. It's hard to get those. So I know you're a true business owner, and your foundation from where you came from, your family has grounded you. It's obvious.
well, because I think about longevity, like some people that they just make it really quickly by saying stupidity or whatever, they fall really quickly too. If you want to stay in business and you want to keep growing your business and have it last forever until you decide to retire, I think you have to be really consistent and you have to be realistic. Like I don't give my respect easily to just whomever. Like I do go through the big picture and analyze everything, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's see.
So, what kind of self-sacrificing have you had to make in order to like build your business or be in your career?
I guess just focusing on my career. I don't really like go out. Like I don't party a lot. I'm not really that social. Like I don't have a lot of friends. I'm not out and about. I don't like date all the time and stuff like that either. Like I'm just really focused. So
What keeps you like that? especially being in the industry you are, like what
Probably seeing
that
all this
industry
shit,
is
huh?
so about partying, so about all
Well,
that.
because my dad is like way older, like my dad's in his 90s, and like last time my sister and I went to visit him, and he's like bedridden now, and he's wearing a diaper, and like he has full-time care and stuff. There was something that really made me think that was said, and it was just like in Spanish, what did they say? La juventud es muy corta y la vejez es muy larga, which means your youth, like your years of youth are really short, and then, you know, your elderly years are really long. So it's like, okay, everyone wants to have fun right now, but then you didn't build anything right now, and then later it's going to be harder for you, and then those are the years that are really long, and you're like stuck there with nothing and hating your life because you wanted to go and like be cool for like that little period that means nothing.
So you see that life is short and
Bigger picture.
Like your young years are really short.
Yeah, they are.
So to be wasting them with a bunch of people that mean nothing, that
don't
don't
care
even
about you at
they
all.
don't care about you. So
at all.
Yeah.
Like they won't even probably show up to your funeral. That's how
Or
much they do not
anything,
care
or
about
when you have a problem, or when you're crying, like they're
You
not
need
going to be there
something.
for you.
Yeah.
You're really close to your dad, huh?
Just my family in general.
Your family
Yeah.
in general. Mm-hmm.
So in the industry, have you been through certain situations where you like figured out like this is like the Hollywood stuff and everything is like kind of fake? Like, did it take you?
I
from
walk
hanging out-
away. Like I
Yeah.
actually get up and leave. Like I'll make an excuse and leave. Like whenever I've seen certain things, and
Yeah.
I'm just like,
It's not me.
So we
it's
know.
a waste of time.
Yeah.
It's a complete waste of time.
So I don't know if you want to talk about that, but what's the weirdest thing that you've seen happen? Because we know we live out here, so we see all kinds of weird stuff like that happen. What's the weirdest thing that, if you want to talk about it, happened where you're like, I'm out of here, you know?
Just like a bunch of fake stuff and just people like clout chasers and that type of thing, you know, like I don't really want to get into like certain scenarios,
Yeah.
but yeah, just stuff like that where it's like you have people that aren't true friends, like not even to each other, and then you know what I mean, like they just talk crap about everybody, and it's kind of like I don't want to be here because I'm the next one they're going to talk about as soon as I get up, and it's like I'd rather just not even open myself up to people like that. I'd rather just leave and not give them like any access, you know.
But that's a strong characteristic.
Yeah.
Like
to not do it.
That's the kind of stuff we talk about on here, and that's the kind of stuff that actually I want my audience to hear. Like you just leave the situation.
And that's a leader. You don't.
That's
you don't
And I
leadership.
don't make a fuss about it. I'm just like, oh, I got it. Like, whatever. Something came up. I got to go. And that's that. Like,
You don't fall in line just to be cool or be a part of the inner
no,
circle.
because
Yeah.
I'm not cool. I'm a nerd and I'm happy to
Yeah.
be a nerd. I like to read. I like to,
Being yourself.
I
is
like to
actually
learn.
cool.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really cool. I like that.
Is it,
Rico's a nerd too, so
I'm a nerd.
I just like
Is there any roles that you wish, or have you turned down any roles?
Not yet, because I'm kind of in the beginning stages of my acting. So I've mainly been modeling prior to acting.
Would you turn down any role, even if say the money was right, but would you turn it down
if it wasn't
Yeah.
like just something to your standard. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the clout chasers, you know what I mean, and a lot of the I've seen a couple of actors that say they took the role because of certain reasons, but they regretted it and they didn't even like what, you know what I mean, because they weren't all in it.
But I think people are fearful and they think like, well, I don't know when I'm going to get the next role. You know, it depends where you're at in your career. Like when you're starting off, I can understand why some people might just take whatever. Like I have, for example, done like reality TV, which I wouldn't do ever again. You
That
know,
seems wild. Like I don't even want to watch reality.
It's mostly
TV
scripted nowadays.
it's all
Like,
scripted.
yeah.
It's not even real.
Yeah.
It's not even, it's an acting job. But the problem with that is like you
You
get
look
paid as an
bad.
actor and everything.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is the audience thinks that that's actually like, they don't realize that it's all scripted. They don't realize that we already know the outcome of what the show is going to be. Like we
Right.
already know, you know what I mean? Even these
Yeah.
dating shows, like we already know who's getting picked, we already know all that. Like it's not real.
Okay.
Right. So, but people don't know that, and you can't blame them. Like, how would they know that
Yeah.
unless they're in the industry, right? So that's why I was just like, no, it's not really good for me or my brand to be involved in that. And I get those types of roles, like they get thrown at you all the time, like on a weekly basis. You get like the emails for this stuff. I'm like, no.
So how do you say no to something like that though too? Because if the money's right, sometimes. I mean,
I won't do reality TV. It's
That's
just not
great.
my thing. I don't want to do it. And like, I'm already financially stable with KW Publicis, my PR company. So I only do I do brand partnerships. which I just got an inquiry before coming here about that. I do brand partnerships on social media. I do my modeling still. I have like a cover shoot coming up in New York, actually. And then whatever acting, like I've done a lot of voice acting too. So people don't know that it's you, but like I've done commercials for like Audi, like for the car and stuff like that. So yeah, so you get decent money with that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool because, I mean, I think when you got something like that to back you up, even with me, like I'm not going to just jump at opportunities when they try to be thrown at us because, you know, everybody tries to take advantage. I see all kinds of different podcasts being taken advantage of, but I have my own business. I'm not hungry for that. I mean, whatever they want to throw something at me, if it doesn't look right, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I actually think I was advised correctly by my family of like getting a degree and getting like an actual real job, and then you can pursue your passions and it might go well or maybe not. But when you already have like money coming in and you're not desperate, then it's just better.
Really, that's really what it is because I feel like a lot of these people that are desperate, they'll almost do anything. And they get taken advantage of like big time. And that's great. You don't have to even deal with that. That changes everything for you too.
Yeah.
Wow. So when you reach let's say you get this lead role, right? What would your next step be from there? Because I mean, everybody has goals. So I know what I kind of want to get into your business. Where do you want your business to go actually first?
I just want my business to keep growing. I want to keep getting more high-profile clients. Like lately, honestly, it's been so good. I've been getting really good events too. Like I was just invited from my business part of things to Eva Longoria's Global Gift Foundation event that happened in Paris just like last fall. I've been getting like they contact you and they're like, you want to do the PR for this? And like they tell you the budget and like whatever, and then you do it and it's like, it's amazing.
Wow.
So I've been doing like my business, like my PR company has been doing really well. So it hasn't just been like writing, it's promote like, when you do PR, what's different than like journalism is that you're promoting people, you're making people look good, right? So a good PR person will sit down with someone or have like a FaceTime or whatever and be like, well, what are your goals? Where do you want to go with this? Whatever. And then based on that, you kind of come up with a strategy, like based on, you know, what industry they're in and all these different things, right? A crappy PR person will just be like, let's just make whatever viral. It's kind of like the crappy podcasters, right? So it's like, let's just make whatever viral. Let's just do whatever headline. But some people want that because they know that the more they're in the media, the more exposure they get, and who knows what opportunities or how they could monetize that, right? So they don't care. They're okay with PR people just making up a whole story about them just to be like viral in the media all the time. But the general, I don't know if I should be saying this, but the general population doesn't really realize that that's how it works. But a good PR person will actually have a conversation with you. And even the people that are like, I don't care, I just want to be in the media, I don't care what they say about me.
So many people
There's
like that. There's
people like that, especially in LA, Miami and stuff. You should still tell them like, okay, like if that's what you want me to do, I have done like crappy, like PR, I just don't put it on my Instagram. Like I don't put these people on there, but they have paid me to do whatever crappy stories for them. I'm like, fine. But they're thinking just in the right now. They're not thinking long term, like how that might affect them later if they want to do something different or they want to be taken seriously, or you know.
I mean, at the same time too, it's like, why would you want to look back at that and see that's what you did? That's what that's your legacy.
It's the clout. It's
like you're gonna literally,
it's the clout chasing.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like clout's even worse than money now. People are chasing clout so hard.
But I never understood that because, okay, some people, if you're chasing clout because you're trying to monetize it, like even though it's still not a good way of like being, but okay, it still makes sense. But a lot of people, they don't even monetize it. So it's like, why are you chasing this clout for what? Like attention is not currency. So
at all.
I don't think people think that anymore.
And the internet doesn't go
away.
Hit up.
We get hit up because we're the biggest podcast in Inland Empire right now. And that's just based on, we interview a lot of businesses throughout here. So in a sense, our podcast is kind of being built off of the people we interview too. Because we don't really give a shit about us. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I already know what I do. I already know what I can do. So when I bring people in, I want to have a good conversation with them. Like, why would I bring somebody in I could just like destroy like some of these podcasts? What's the point?
Yeah.
Let's bring somebody in where we both have a great conversation and we can both build off of each other. That was my whole purpose of this anyways,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So networking's big. And
Yeah.
if you can learn off somebody, that's great, right? And you can learn different businesses, different things. And I don't think people, like a lot of people don't want to do that. They just want to like look famous or be famous or build clout and all that stuff. I don't know if it's because of the age we are. I have no idea.
I think it is, and also because, well, I don't know how old you guys are, but
We're
I'm
old.
36, so like when I went to high school, there were no smartphones or anything.
At
So
all.
I was, even though high school was horrible, I'm sure it's horrible for everybody, but at least I didn't have to live through like people recording you and then putting it
Yeah.
online and stuff, like how
Yeah.
kids have to deal with that these days, which is traumatizing, right? So in my mind, I'm like, at least I didn't have to go through all that. And they, like right off the bat, it's all social media. It's all like appearances and stuff. So that's why their mindset is different. And a lot of times, like, oh, like a lot of people, oh, you look young. You look like you're 26. I'm like, yeah, until I hang out with someone that's 26. And then I'm like, no, I'm old. But I'm proud to
Because
be
you feel
old.
like you feel like it when you're around those 26-year-olds. That's why
Yeah.
you're like I don't think this way, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They
no.
think so different than the way we think.
They
And
really do. And I
don't
can
even wanna
tell
be in
within
that
like
era.
the 10-year like age gap, it's like a really different mindset. Completely different.
BSTYE, he said, pardon me, he said, do you believe that words have power?
Yes, they do. But I think words have power backed up with action. But words do have power, like they can be positively powerful or negatively powerful depending on,
How much power we give it. with our
your
actions.
self-esteem, correct.
Yeah.
So if you have a really healthy self-esteem, yes, you might read horrible things about yourself, but you're just going to let it go because, again, you need to know who you are at your core, and you need to be surrounded by people that do know who you are, right? So then those words don't really have power. But if you're like a little bit weak within your self-esteem, which happens now in these new generations, they're all very weak within their self-esteem, right? Then those words will like destroy them. And it's sad, and it's not fair because it's always words from like people that just create anonymous accounts to say these things. It's like if we were having a conversation right now face to face, you wouldn't say these
Ever.
things, right?
They'd
Like
probably be in
so
the corner somewhere. We wouldn't even notice.
so that's the thing. Like it's sad. I don't know.
We get those too, and we just don't care.
Yeah.
Like that's just kind of what it comes down to. I know it's a little different, but I think it's our age. And we just don't care what people. We didn't grow up in Hollywood and LA. Yeah, we lived down
I
the
didn't
street.
either.
30
Thank
minutes,
God.
30 minutes away.
And I
Yeah.
think that's why, because I don't hear people talk like you that are acting and doing stuff like that. I don't hear that at all.
Not in LA, but I
No.
have met some great actors that it's about the craft for them and they don't live anywhere near like certain cities. I love
Yeah.
Toronto though. Toronto people are really grounded. They're really great. They're really nice people. If you guys haven't been to Toronto, you
haven't.
definitely should. Just don't go in the winter. It's kind of cold.
we actually had somebody from Toronto, a guy with the,
We had another
the police
company
dogs
fly
and
out
stuff.
here. They had a business, and they came out here for an interview too. They own a dog training business that makes a lot of money. I had no idea
And
a
he was
dog
an
training
ex-cop. He was an
business.
ex-cop.
Actually,
Makes that
my
much. It's all
brother
through
looked
social
into
media.
that this one time. Just he was like, I might do this as a side hustle, and then he started realizing, like, oh wow, like you could
lot of
actually.
Tell him to
do
look at
this
the
thing.
podcast. The guy that he actually explained how he got into it. He was a police officer. He's seen something horrible. And then he, you know what I mean. He started doing the dog business, and then he ended up meeting his wife, and she was also into dogs, and they both started doing it together and
Wow.
started a dog training
That's
business
amazing.
in Toronto, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. But yeah, I never been out that way. I do want to go out that way.
You should. You would love it. And you can check out Niagara Falls. My mom just came to visit me actually last October, and we went to Niagara Falls in Montreal. And
So where are you from then?
well, my family lives in Spain, most of them.
So is that where you were born?
No.
From 8 to 18, right? Or-
I was in Spain from 8 to 18 because my dad, he retired
Yeah.
and then he moved to Spain. Okay, so the full story is my dad is from Spain, born and raised, but he doesn't have a good taste in his mouth of Spain because, you know, back in the day, like conscription, like they forced you to go into the military. So he lost his dad in the Spanish Civil War when he was 9 years old. And then later when he became an adult, he had to go into the military. And then he lost a kidney and they removed his kidney live, like no anesthesia or anything.
Shit.
So, and then they didn't like compensate him in any way. So he was 28 years old and he left Spain and he went to Germany and he like worked in different places. My dad speaks 5 different languages just from his travels. And then he applied to either try to go to Australia or Canada, and Canada replied first. So then he went to Canada and then he started building his business there. He's a really hardworking man, always has been. And then he became a citizen of Canada. And then he went down to Peru because my mom is Peruvian. Her background is Italian and Spanish. He went down to Peru. Well, initially he was in Argentina. He was like looking where he wanted to buy properties in South America. He's
worldwide.
He's always loved South America.
I like this dude. We got to get him on the podcast.
And then, so he bought properties in the northern Amazonian jungle of Peru. He has rice plantations. He actually built a few buildings and he rents them out as offices to the government. And then he met my mom in Lima. So even though he was in the jungle, which is like a bit north of Lima, he's like, well, I need to find myself like a hot woman or whatever.
So it was
like,
Tarzan and Tarzan and
He already
Jane.
knew
It was
the deal.
Tarzan and Jane.
So he went down to Lima because he wasn't going to find one where he was. And he found my mom and he sold her the dream.
I like this dude a lot. I like this guy. And he said he's like 20-something years older than her.
26 years
No,
old.
he knew what he was doing.
But my dad has always, for the longest time, looked younger. Like,
Yeah.
you would never see that age gap between them. And then just the pandemic hit and he went downhill fast, which was so hard for him because he was so used to always, like, being really young
Yeah.
at heart, you know? So,
That's where my dad's family's from Spain.
yeah, long story short, my 4 siblings, like me and my 3 siblings, it's 4 of
Yeah.
us, we were born in the Amazonian jungle of Peru. But we left Peru when I was just a few months old because there were some earthquakes that happened. And my dad was like, well, maybe we should go to Canada for a bit and then we'll see about returning. So, because he always just wanted to be in Peru. Like, my dad loves Peru. He loves being the Spaniard in Peru, you know? So, so then we went to Canada. I was only a few months old, so I don't have any memory of that time in Peru. I didn't grow up in Peru or anything. And then I was in Canada, as I said, a few months old till I was 8. And then we moved to Spain because my dad fully retired when I was 8. We moved to Spain. And then after 5 years, he went back to Peru. No one wanted to come with him at that point because we were just like,
You see your friends and stuff and all. in
yeah,
school.
and like my older siblings were already like at a certain age where they can kind of choose.
Was he the military?
Yeah.
That's so
My
he was
my
military,
dad,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was like saying, you're like a military brat, like my brother-in-law, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and my mom on
You
her
get to see the
side,
world, though.
all of the men in my mom's side of the family, they're all military too, like high up in the military.
Dang.
That's
In
how my
Peru.
dad-
Like my first flight from the jungle to like Lima when I was 2 months old was on a military plane. My uncle's like military plane that he got us on.
Did you like growing up like that? Get to see so many things. 'Cause a lot of people are stuck in a bubble in one
Yes
city.
and no. Yes, because I'm very aware of the world, and I'm very self-aware too. And I do realize that people live in a bubble that's not really realistic. If you like, it's just a tiny little dot. Like the world, there's so many different things happening in the world, right? But you don't. They're so foreign to you if you're not like thrown into the mix. So yes, in the sense that I love that. Like by the time I was 8 years old, I had already been to 11 different countries. But then the downside of that is that we moved around. Like I went to different schools all the time. I was always the new kid. And like for me, it wasn't that bad because I've always had a strong personality. But like my sister, she got bullied really badly, you know, and that to her, like she didn't want to go through that again. So when we were in Spain and like people just made friends and stuff, we're like, we're not going to Peru now. And we're going to be like bullied because, you know, like even my sister, because she did get to experience Peru a little bit more. Like I was a baby and we left, but like we don't look like the people that live there. You know what I mean? And my sister, like 2 of my siblings are really white. Like I'm more like Mediterranean looking in my other brother, but my sister and my other brother, they're like really light skin, light eyes and everything. So she was even bullied in Peru for being like white like that and stuff, you know? So it's like she just didn't want to leave. And my dad went on his own and everyone stayed in Spain. And then when I was 18, I moved to Canada on my own.
So are you a traveler now to this day, or like where do you call home?
Toronto, and because I love my condo in Toronto. I made it so comfortable and amazing. And then other than that, Spain for sure.
Spain.
And I go there twice a year, so I'm going again in August.
And
Go ahead.
You do most of your casting calls and your interviews. Like, do you do them mostly over here, or is it like you said? Since
I hadn't
Zoom?
done one in LA in such a long time,
Been
to
Zoom
be
or what?
honest. Yeah,
Okay.
I hadn't even had like the last time I was in LA, I came to do my demo reel here, and that was like November of 2021, and then that's when I went to go see my dad in Peru. I flew from LA actually. I went like Miami down to Lima, and my sister flew from like Madrid to Lima, and we met there, and then we took the little flight to like one of the little towns, and then you take a car, and it's like in this remote, crazy location, and the driver's like, it seems like you're gonna die. You're in the middle of the
movies.
jungle. There's like mud everywhere. Like, yeah, that's what that was.
So
But
do you like the jungle though?
I do, but I wouldn't live there.
No.
But I do like to like. It's nice to go knowing that you don't have to stay there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you just visit.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
came out here by yourself this time, this round.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot. You've just been working and because basically this is all work for you right now. So how's that like having to travel and do that?
Vacation and
Is
work.
it hard? Because I mean,
I'm just so used to it at this point
Oh,
that
really?
I'm just like whatever.
It's just-
like it's not
it's just
a big
it's
deal.
just a Tuesday for you then. Huh?
Yeah. And I always like, even when I'm traveling, I try to work out. Like if I'm staying at a hotel, I'll go to the gym at the hotel. Like I'm always trying to, you know,
Yeah.
stay on top of things. But I do prefer just being in Toronto and having my routine and cooking for myself and stuff. Because when I'm not home, then I just like order food and stuff. So it's not the same.
So I gotta because we are running out of time. I do want to ask you one last question though. So Aria Walton, if you can talk to us, if your heart can speak to us, who would it say you are? Deep down as a person,
A realist.
a realist.
A realist. A very motivated realist. Yeah. And a romantic at heart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. So like, we interview so many people, and especially like some of the ones that we do, the podcast that we do, the DNRs. There's not a lot of realists, especially out there anymore. Everybody's all chasing clout, and
Instagram, doing all the, you know what I mean?
and it's so
memes,
annoying to me. Like I don't know, it's just I get it. I don't like that stuff. It's just it's so annoying.
Yeah.
But I mean, to hear somebody say that is refreshing. Because a lot of people don't talk like that. They don't even think that way.
Yeah.
Everything's all about chasing cloud.
But that's why I like your platform, because I went through your videos. I'm like, no, these guys are great. They're professional. They're not like, you don't
Yeah.
come off as like these clout chasers that just want clicks and stuff, you know? So I was like, okay, I'll come on to
Fully
that.
Organic. Yeah.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that. So that's why you came on the platform.
Yeah, like and you guys had reached out to me before, and I was just like, well, I don't really have plans for LA because I don't come here. Honestly, it's not like my favorite place, no offense.
You know,
But then when I knew I was coming for that casting, I'm like, I reached out to you, and I was like, by the way, I'm actually in town, so if you still wanted to do it, here we are.
did you
Yeah.
did you shoot for it already, or did you? Or is it
Yeah,
coming up? You did?
I did it
How
already.
do you think it went?
earlier
How do you
today.
think it went?
I think it went well. Let's see what happens.
Hopefully you get it.
I just don't like to jinx things, so I don't
Yeah.
talk about them until it's like,
Sorry.
it's okay.
Well, if you come out, you need to come back on.
Yeah, for
Definitely.
Sure. And let us know
Yeah.
about what you've done and the roles that you accomplished and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I will, for sure.
If you could, our slogan is "Shed the sheep," like shed the follower. Be a leader.
Yeah.
If you can just look at the camera and say "Shed the sheep."
Shed the sheet.
Well, we thank you for coming on. We really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
inviting
We
me.
know you had to take a long trip over here from LA, but we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank
You
you so
kicked
much
ass.
for having me.
Thank you. So, How's over Baz. I'm Jacob Casas.
I'm Rico Savage.
And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, everybody that's helped us get monetized and build the podcast.
Appreciate it.
We're never stopping. So we'll be back with another episode in a little bit. But we're out. Peace out.